This is a relay project.
Real Talk starts right now. Here's Ryan Jesperson.
I want to welcome you to a very special edition of Real Talk as we celebrate 5 years since this show went on the air. And, of course, as we do every Monday, welcome Supriya Dwivedi to the show. However, this time, for the first time in the show's history, we welcome you to our Real Talk studio in the historic Mercer Warehouse in downtown Edmonton. Welcome to Alberta's capital city.
Thank you so much for being an excellent host, Ryan. My entire Edmonton experience, from the minute I landed to, right now as we're speaking, has been absolutely amazing. And I think people should know that there ain't no party like a Jespo party.
Hey!
Ain't no party like a Jespo party, because a Jespo party don't stop.
We had Johnny Infamous, the intrepid producer of the show, working overtime following Thursday's episode to tear this whole thing down.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny, into, I guess what, get rid of $100,000 worth of electronics and broadcast equipment so it wasn't damaged by 150 people who are here to celebrate our 5 years, including sponsors and a whole bunch of people that I think are your biggest fans.
I can get out of here. I mean, everybody was your biggest fan.
Nobody would leave you alone.
But I mean, it was great. I mean, maybe that's part of the reason why I loved it so much. It was just a Supriya love fest the whole time. But yeah, no, look, it was what I really like. I mean, I found your party to be a real reflection, I think, of your show, which is like a huge cross section of, to your point, like sponsors, business leaders. You had a bunch of Politico insiders that were there, a bunch of journalists, and just like regular engaged people that are smart and funny and make a good time at a party.
Yeah, we did have a good time. And before we go any further, I want to shout out Johnny, who also happened to get the studio back into operating form.
Yeah, and clearing all the evidence. And
clearing all the evidence.
How long did that take you?
We brought in a forensics crew to just make sure that,
I brought out the blue lights and everything.
Yeah. Well, we get a little bit nervous, like when your former boss, the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, was in this studio, and when his successor, the Right Honorable Mark Carney, was in this studio. As you know, both times there's the advance teams that come in with the political leaders teams, but then there's also the protective detail, which includes the RCMP and sniffer dogs.
Yeah,
and
did you have a German Shepherd in here?
We've had German Shepherds rolling through here, and my heart's always in my throat a tiny little bit when the sniffer dogs are in here, although someone reminded me, they said they're trained to sniff out bombs.
Bombs, not drugs.
Bombs,
you're
not
safe,
drugs.
buddy.
You're okay.
Safe.
You're okay.
Yeah.
But shout out to Johnny for getting us back, and
thank you so much.
Well, here we are. We've really been looking forward to this. We have a lot to talk about. Why don't we remind everybody, you had a chance to meet Bill Eaton and his team, and they've just launched RapidEx Financial. This episode of the show is presented by the team at RapidExFinancial.com, and this is a proud made in Alberta solution, offering crypto your way through 3 easy channels, over 100 ATMs across Canada. There's an online portal. I'm showing it to you right now at RapidExFinancial.com. Interact e-transfer makes it nice and easy. And then there's an over-the-counter desk for those of you who want a little extra help, people like me that would love to talk to a human when you're navigating this stuff, especially if maybe you have curiosity, you're intrigued, but you don't have a ton of experience and you want to do it right. With RapidEx, you get real people ready to assist you. There's no hidden fees, and there's no chat bots. Music to my ears. So whether you're starting from 0 sats or maybe you're growing your Bitcoin journey, RapidEx makes it fast, easy, and secure. And right now, exclusively to Real Talkers, first-time users at RapidEx Financial get 50% off with the exclusive coupon code Ryan50. That's Ryan50, all one word, on the online portal. This is a limited time offer. Your chance to start crypto your way. Visit RapidExFinancial.com. Use Ryan50 at checkout. Good time to buy the dip, but of course, don't ever take financial advice from me. You can learn more at RapidExFinancial.com. Kind of an interesting development, and it wasn't even after our party, the Real Talk 5th birthday bash. I think the party was still going when a pretty prominent national.
It was no. Let's rewind a bit. It wasn't that it was still going. It was very early into the night.
It was early into the night.
Yeah, like I think I'd only been here for like 45-ish minutes or an hour before this happened. So it wasn't even as though like 11 o'clock midnight rolls around, people ever been drinking for a while because your party did start at 5 p.m.
Started at 5.
Yeah.
Happy hour.
Yeah.
Oh, by
does
the way,
that?
before we go any
Who
further,
does
who
that?
does this? Let's
Okay.
get this show started correctly. This is not how we roll every morning, but this feels 5 years today since launch with Supriya in studio.
Yeah.
Johnny Infamous here. Even our team photographer, Carly Watson, behind the scenes, ready to capture this, but we just thought we'd do this right. So,
Woo!
I just
my.
about took over our brand new studio light, Johnny. But I didn't destroy it.
That's a lot of money.
That really bounced off fast, didn't it?
Careful
I
of
think
the
that's,
orb.
That's going to look amazing in slow motion, but lots to celebrate here. What I was going to say is that before the party had even wrapped, there was social media evidence and commentary of what had gone down between Rachel Gilmore, pretty well known, one of Canada's, wouldn't you say, most well known for people that don't know who Rachel is.
Yeah, for people who don't know who Rachel is, I mean, she was a journalist at Chorus, which is, I don't think we ever overlapped, though, did we at Chorus?
Not
any
us
of
and
us?
Rachel, no.
Yeah, and then she recently, within the last couple of years or so, has really developed quite a following as an independent journalist on, TikTok and Instagram and Reels. And so I don't think Rachel would be offended at me saying this, but she tends to come at things from a center left-ish progressive lens for the most part.
Yeah.
And so she was here because she was in town for something and ended up at your party.
Yeah. So at this point, so she's at the party, and I would say,
hold on, cheers.
We're going to have, cheers.
Happy
And,
5th birthday, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And this is a shout out to the audience as well.
100%.
Our sponsor is incredible. We're going to be thanking you guys and showing you love all episode here. 5 years is not lost on us. Johnny, cheers to you as well, brother.
Season 6, baby.
Appreciate you.
Season 6.
This is season 6, episode 1 right now.
Woo! I'm going to drink it again. Yeah.
But I want to say, and I want to be really clear, is we're not going to be showing a bunch of photos from our party. And we're not going to be talking a lot about specifically who is here and whatever's, because a big part of what we do and the community we've built and Real Talkers have come to expect scoops and exclusives. And there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes to get those scoops and exclusives. And a lot of that is respecting sources off the record.
And people's privacy.
And that sort of a thing. The only reason, to be honest with you, to be frank with you, that I think it's even okay to bring this up, this interaction, this confrontation that happened, is that Rachel posted about it and laid it out online, and tens of thousands. Last I looked, it has 10,000 likes on it. So a lot of people have seen it. She put it out there, so we'll bring it up. But basically, so a senior staffer for Alberta's Premier, Danielle Smith, is at the party. Rachel Gilmore's at the party. The two of them, as far as I know, had never met or had never interacted.
No, I don't think they had ever met in person. I don't think Rachel knew who the person was in question. So am I going through the motions?
Why don't you take us into it? Because you were more witness to it than I was.
Yeah. So, said staffer had called Rachel over. I didn't witness the actual interaction in question. I just saw a bit of the aftermath in which there was, Rachel was quite upset, and we were just chatting about it. But what had happened was that the staffer calls her over, and then they start talking about, recent legislation in Alberta.
Notwithstanding clause, trans laws.
Yeah, going after trans kids. And that's when things kind of sort of fell apart.
Yeah, it kind of went sideways, and it got into, I wouldn't say that it was an elevated volume argument.
No.
But it was definitely a tense interaction that I think probably, based on my powers of observation, rattled both of them.
Oh, yeah.
And then it prompted Rachel to head back, and we're showing this on here. You can check it out if you want to see her full account, from her side of the story, how it went down. You can check it out on TikTok, check it out on Instagram. It ended with a pretty, and Rachel says it. Rachel telling this senior staffer that she has blood on her hands.
Yep.
Over invoking the notwithstanding clause, which is I would say this: number one, Rachel feels strongly about it, and made no bones about it and represented her position. It's also a nuclear comment to make.
Yeah. Once you say that, I think you've ended the conversation, right? I don't think there's anything going from there. But what I would say, and you see this a lot, and I think Rachel makes reference to this in her post, but you see this a lot in the Ottawa Press Gallery kind of dinner, where you have, and I'm sure the same thing happens here, at the Ledge with folks like legacy journalists that cover things, end up hobnobbing quite a bit with the politicians and the staffers that they, cover and report on in a way that I think to people that aren't in the legacy media circle can kind of seem off-putting. Because it's like, it kind of comes across as like incredibly fake. If on the one hand, you are putting on this shtick in public to be one way or another, and then in private, you're all, enjoying drinks together at an amazing party hosted by, yours truly right here. So I do get that it's kind of annoying from Rachel's perspective to assume from the staffer's perspective that Rachel would have just been like, hey, what's up, girl? Like, now we're just hanging and chilling because we're here at Jespo's party.
Once we're off camera, we're all buddies.
And that all of a sudden Rachel's entire, ethos would have fallen by the wayside simply because you're at a party and you're supposed to be, I don't know, I guess, polite. And I'm putting that in air quotes.
Yeah, and even though I'm assuming that Rachel didn't expect at the party that she'd be getting into it with a senior premier staffer, and the premier senior staffer probably didn't think she'd be getting into it with Rachel Gilmore.
Yeah.
Both of them. And I think that a lot of people, you find yourself in this position in life where you're like called to the carpet and this is the moment.
Yeah.
And Rachel probably, I would imagine, saw an opportunity. She's not the one that initiated the conversation.
No, she was called over by the staffer.
She was called over and the staffer introduced herself.
That's what I said. I was like, I talked to this staffer after, and for about 45 minutes was telling me, what happened. And then they said, I pulled her aside. I said, you pulled her aside? And that's one thing I'll give Rachel credit for. Like, she wears it 24/7. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She stands up for what she believes in, even if we're at a party. So, I mean, I don't think you have to come into a party and like, tear away all your opinions and morals. And she definitely lives out loud like that every day. So I don't know what this person expected to happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they expected to happen. And I think that
Well,
Rachel...
I think that was Rachel's point, because I think the expectation from the staffer was that Rachel was just going to be like, hey, girl, so nice to meet you in person.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That is definitely not the way it went down.
No.
So then there's also the question of like, and again, like I find it, difficult, and I don't want to sit here sober for the most part on a Monday morning and recap what happened. And I'm also not saying that they were inebriated. I don't know if they were or not. That's kind of not the point. But I'm just saying it's easy to armchair this on the Monday morning and say, well, you could have done this, or maybe you wanted to approach it this way, because it just like happens. It happens fast.
Yeah, and like
it's
hindsight's 20/20.
Dash cam video of like when a car crosses your path and you hit it. Like it just happens fast, right? You kind of wonder as well, like, would there have been an opportunity for kind of a more productive conversation, and might Rachel have changed minds and hearts, or, these staffers, the other people involved, going to make an impression on that other person, on the person with a detracting opinion or a detracting perspective? I don't know in this situation that either person was going to be in a position to change their mind.
Yeah.
I also don't know if you want to avoid conversations with people. We say this to this incredible audience. This is like an informed, educated, empathetic audience that has high expectations, which is the whole reason we show up, in love with this audience. But you don't necessarily only participate in conversations when you think that you're going to have an opportunity, or where your goal or your mandate is to change the person's mind.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think that's how real life works either. I'd also just point out, in defense of the staffer, I mean, she can change her mind all she wants, but like, it's her boss at the end of the day, right? As somebody who has served in like a senior staff role, you can provide your opinion, you can provide your boss with, advice. But at the end of the day, it's up to the boss, the elected official, to actually do something with it. And so, I don't know if either of them were ever going to walk away with changed opinions, but I do think these sorts of conversations, even if they end the way that they did, are good to have. I don't think it's bad to be uncomfortable and to have like an uncomfortable conversation with somebody that is going to disagree with you. I think too much of the time we like put an overemphasis or an overimportance on like being civil and polite and not disagreeing. But I think it's okay to disagree. I think it's even okay to disagree the way that they did, because they're not gonna come to an agreement. And so just, next time, don't call over somebody that you think is gonna end up reaming you out.
And what a great place to do it, too. And I'll just give Ryan props for that, because it's not like we set it up for people to interact that way.
No way.
But you do make a guest list where, it's not all people from the left. It was Thomas Lukazik was here. There were other people in the chat are saying, oh, it was Danielle Smith. The premier was not here. That's not who we're talking
She was invited, but she was not here.
But you make a great guest list, and it's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions. And we've had it, 3-4 years now, and there's never been anything close to this. Not that this was like a huge thing, but we've never had a little spar like this.
That's right. But there are and people would be curious to see that guest list. Is Danielle Smith invited to our party?
Yeah.
Is Naheed Nenshi invited? There's federal Liberal cabinet ministers. There's conservative opposition members, MPs. There's mayors from across Alberta that are invited. Many of them would qualify as conservative or even right-wing conservative.
Some show up at 5:01.
Some show up at 5:01. Stephen Mandel, former mayor of Edmonton, very first one at the party.
I love it.
What a beauty.
Yeah.
Rolls in here and sticks around right up until the DJ starts. And then he goes, it's too loud. I'm out of here.
I walk out. We did a little pre-brief, and I walk out of the office, and here's former mayor Stephen Mandel at the bar by himself. Nobody here but me, Ryan, and two bartenders. And he's like, it starts at 5, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. Straight to the charcuterie table. Loved it. Cheryl outside with an interesting point in our live chat, powered by Park Power. Great to see the Park Power team in the house. Says, let's be honest, females aren't allowed to fight generally. What's seeing as men being strong leaders is two females being emotional. Cheryl says, I'm not saying Jespo's saying that. I'm just saying overall. Yeah, I mean,
I think that's probably true to a degree.
Yeah, people are saying, I wonder if it was Erica Baruti she was talking. It was not Erica
No,
Baruti,
it was
but
not.
Erica was in the house.
I love Erica. Erica and I go way back.
But we've seen this many times at Real Talk gatherings, and people understand what happens is that there are the party are private parties, thanking sponsors and those that make the show happen, are a reflection. You said this right off the top of the ecosystem that is the show. We see it in the audience. We see it in our live chat every single day. There are like people that are like as left as you can get. There are people that are as right as you can get. There's a lot of moderates in the middle, and that's by design. That's how my friend group has always been. That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
And so I didn't mind seeing it. I mean, obviously you never want to see kind of conflict play out to the point where somebody like leaves and the other person's rattled and that sort of a thing. But at the same time, I don't think it's always a bad thing. But, putting faces to names or having a chance to connect with people in person. You mentioned Thomas Lukazik here. Like it was fascinating to see some really some real opponents to Thomas. And Thomas brings his own baggage. Like everyone's, really cheering on Thomas for what he did with his Forever Canadian petition, gleaning almost 500,000 signatures to send a strong message about how many Albertans feel about the province's future in Canada. And he was here, but, there were detractors of his that went up to him but had an opportunity to talk. I'm watching out of the corner of my eye. All civil conversation. I'm encouraged by that. I think there's a real magic to getting people that don't see eye to eye on things in the same room to talk.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just don't know if anything's being solved at a party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Has anything ever been solved at a party?
Well, no, I don't think so.
In
the history of parties.
I've been to a lot, Ryan, and no. It's only caused problems for me.
Does anybody go to more parties in Edmonton than Johnny Infamous?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't know. This is amazing from Christine. Christine, $25 in the super chat here right now. She's just bought you 5 beers out of the Real Talk beer fridge. There's literally 0 beers in the Real Talk beer fridge right now. Yeah. She says, happy 5th anniversary. Fabulous show. Love Supriya. She says, great to see her in the studio. Ryan, crew, the amazing people who engage with this show are the best. Have a great day. That from Christine, who just is ensuring we will also have a great day. Christine, we appreciate you. Thank you very much.
What I like about this is that you didn't even pretend to put orange juice in here.
No.
It's just straight up champagne.
Yeah.
I noticed that from the jump, and then was going to say something, but then
which is the orange juice makes it more acceptable for 8:30 Mountain Time. It's 10:30. You're an Easterner. You're from Toronto.
That's true.
It's almost noon, basically.
Oh, so I should be hammered, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, maybe you will be by the end of the episode. Yeah. It sounds like Alberta and Ottawa do have a pipeline deal, a memorandum of understanding. You're going to take us into this, help us understand. We're going to hear from former Alberta Premier Jason Kenney, who had some words about BC's Premier David Eby. We got to hear. We'll talk federal politics as well. Supriya Dwivedi, our guest every week in the first episode of the week, presented by Mercedes-Benz Edmonton West in our feature interview. We'll be looking at the live chat powered by Park Power. You can always send us an email to talk@ryanjesperson.com. Also at our little mixer, our 5-year birthday bash was the team from North Road Investment Council. Just phenomenal insights from these guys when it comes to wealth management, retirement planning. If you're an established professional or a business owner asking yourself the big financial questions, should I pay myself in dividends or salary? Should I put savings into a TFSA or an RRSP or leave investable dollars in the corporation for your retirement? North Road Investment Council is helping clients answer these questions every single day. If you're over the age of 40, if your business is earning more than $200,000 annually, you should be taking a look at the individual pension plan. It's a powerful retirement strategy, not for everybody though. The team at North Road's put together a really clear, plain language white paper on the benefits and challenges of this IPP so you can learn if it's right for you. Connect with them today at northroadic.com. Request your copy and start that conversation at northroadic.com. Shout out to our pal Cam and his team at California Closets, also there with us celebrating this weekend. They've been with us in an incredible way. California Closets presenting the Real Talk live stream across 7 different channels, including TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You'll find us everywhere, courtesy of California Closets. Everything that you do with California Closets, you can do it with the confidence that these are designed and installed right here in the province of Alberta, a Canadian-owned company. And the conversations with their designers are always without risk. A free design consultation you can book today at californiaclosets.ca. They guarantee their installations for life, and nobody does it like California Closets. Book that free consultation today at californiaclosets.ca. Athabasca University, of course, Canada's open university with world-class accredited online degrees and courses designed so you can complete your education wherever and whenever it works for you. For ambitious people across Canada and beyond, AU offers flexible approaches to higher education. And it's sure to have something that meets your needs, your ambition, and your lifestyle, all while giving you a Canadian education no matter where you live. You can learn more about the AU Advantage by visiting athabascau.ca. And a shout out to our friends at Friesen Brothers, celebrating 70 years this year. Alberta grown, Alberta owned since 1955. They've proudly served the province, delivering fresh, local, and high-quality products to families across Alberta. It's an incredible milestone that reflects their dedication to quality and the trust of Albertans over the years. On behalf of Friesen Brothers Real Talkers, thank you for being part of their remarkable journey. Your support has made it possible. Stay tuned. We'll be keeping you up to speed on what they have. Plenty to celebrate going on through the year. Supriya Dwivedi in studio in our feature interview presented by Mercedes-Benz Edmonton West. You had a chance to connect with them over the weekend as well.
Yeah.
What a bunch of beauties.
Great people.
Yeah.
Very talkative, very informed
on
politics. And just, again, I come at things from a left of center perspective. I was chatting with the team, right of center perspective. Everything was great and polite and engaging, you know?
It's the whole point. It's music to my ears. You have no idea. I feel like if everybody agreed with everything at your parties, you're not doing
boring.
your parties right.
No.
So it sounds like this week, the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, is going to be traveling to Calgary, and it's expected that they will be announcing. So take us into this. You've been a senior advisor to a Prime Minister. When we talk about memorandums of understanding, it's obviously not like shovels in the ground. And
no.
There are things that can happen. BC's sure going to try to make something happen, it sounds like. But to take us into the story.
Yeah, so if you have a memorandum of understanding, it's basically like the first step of getting towards a concrete deal that leads to those shovels in the ground that you referred to. And I think for, the last few months, but really the last couple of months, we've seen both language from Ottawa and Edmonton soften quite a bit towards one another. I don't think it's any secret, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn by saying that my former boss, Justin Trudeau, did not get along as well with, at least perception-wise, with Premier Danielle Smith as, now Prime Minister Mark Carney gets along with her. And I think they're probably much more aligned on policy. And what we're expecting, that I've read through reports, is that on Thursday, right? That's when the announcement is going to be made. And originally, they were supposed to come to something by Grey Cup. Was that not it?
Well, that was the goal.
Yeah.
And that's certainly what the Premier is hoping for. And I know that Carney did announce before Grey Cup these nation-building projects.
Yeah.
The pipeline not on the list. But I mean, there's obviously a lot of ambitious stuff happening right now through that major projects office in Calgary. This seems, this kind of as a standalone announcement to me is if you're Alberta, if you're Premier Smith, way better. You don't want to be on a list of 7 announcements. You want to be on the list, a standalone exclusive. Danielle Smith is taking no risk here. Right? Or do you agree? Do you
no,
disagree?
I don't think,
Mark Carney's taking a risk.
He's taking
here.
a huge risk. Yeah. So
right?
so for Smith, it's no risk whatsoever. I mean, she's been pro pipeline since before she was premier, right? Like when she was our colleague at Chorus. It's like she's really open about that perspective. And to Prime Minister Carney's credit, I don't know personally if he has been pro or anti pipeline in the past. I never got through the full book of values. Really long.
Yeah.
But all that to say is obviously with a Liberal Prime Minister, there are a bunch of different factors you have to consider. Like, you mentioned British Columbia. Okay, so are BC Liberal supporters now going to be pissed off? It's no secret that my home province of Quebec isn't always super pro-energy projects, particularly when it comes to oil and gas. So is he going to see some backlash in the province of Quebec? He's got an environmental caucus that is now sitting within the Liberal caucus. Are those people going to be upset with him? And, you think of the folks that vote Liberal that are outside of the province of Alberta, and, Prime Minister Carney, as well as his front bench of ministers, are likely going to have to explain the decision and the choice to folks that don't agree with it.
It's interesting comment here in our live chat, powered by Park Power. Cliff says this is a tough look for MP Elizabeth May. With this MOU and the announcement of a plan to have a new pipeline to Tidewater, going to be hard for her to answer to her party after propping up the government on the fall budget. We did talk to Elizabeth May in our most recent episode on Thursday, and she talked about this, and I asked her about a couple of things back to back. I said, you allow this, you now allow this government to survive. You allow this budget to pass. She pushed back on that. She said Conservatives also allowed it to pass.
They
the
did.
NDP also allowed it to
did.
pass. She's not wrong.
Yeah.
But I said, the consumer carbon tax is gone. And there's rumors or reports that there's going to be a new pipeline. Kind of, how do you sit with that? Her response, which people can check out on our YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcasts, our most recent episode, she says, I've seen a lot of trial balloons in my political career, and let's shoot this one down. She says, because it's not happening. That was what Elizabeth May said on Real Talk in our most recent episode.
Okay, so that's interesting, actually, because, she does hold, to some degree, a balance of power, being the lone sort of, Green MP. But I don't know. I guess that's Liz May's way of saying she's going to kick up some noise.
Let me actually, Johnny, I can play this from my computer, can't I? I'm just technically, I do my best. But Johnny, can you bring me up here? Can we play this? Are we ready to rock?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So here's what Elizabeth May had to say on Thursday. All right. Let's see if we can hear it here. This is November 20th. She was talking to us.
To kill or pass the budget? Is it too
I'm
much
start
pressure?
Again, so
Would
it's
that
better.
be too?
Here's
Do you
Elizabeth.
not want to be seen or portrayed as the person that had the potential to kill or pass the budget? Is it too much pressure? Would that be too? Is that just not the look you're going for? Why did you clarify?
Just for honesty, we had a lot of angry phone calls into my office on Parliament Hill, and we had a lot of very wonderful thank you phone calls. The angry phone calls were, it's your fault we're going to have this massive deficit. And I'm thinking, if you're a traditional Conservative voter, you need to know that the Conservative Party backrooms around Pierre Poilievre didn't want an election. And for that reason, we didn't have an election. Most political parties, of course, in Canada have a back room full of people. I don't know why they want all the power, because I'm not sure what they care about, because I don't think they know either. What the backroom people, I'm not talking about the people we vote for who are brave enough to put their names on the ballot, but the backroom people want power for its own sake. They want as much power as possible. So, and it's just the nature of it. And I think politics and democracy, I think we'll put it this way, we have to rescue democracy from politics. Because politics is increasingly divisive, nasty, ugly, and makes people think that the whole system is so rigged, so corrupt, why bother voting? And the answer is you've got to vote so that the system isn't rigged, corrupt, and disgusting.
Supriya's been in those back rooms.
I have. There.
So there she is. So that was
Yeah.
kind of her take on who allowed the budget to survive, who allowed this government to survive. But she says the pipeline's not happening. That's her take on it.
I mean, sure, power to her, I guess, for thinking that. I would say that the government of Canada, if they go through with this, as well as the government of Alberta, would disagree with her. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to see what kind of muckraking ends up happening. Because, she's not wrong about her, qualification of backroom people, right? Like, they want power for power's sake, and you are a lot braver putting your name on a ballot. That's just, there's no question. And I think you can see that a little bit with, the folks that were in these back rooms for the Liberal Party up until this point and continue to be in those back rooms. I mean, where were your principles? Where are your values? If you were anti-pipeline once upon a time, and now you're pro-pipeline, if you were, very vehemently pro-choice, and you wanted to make sure that your party stayed pro-choice as a qualification, I guess, that you have to be pro-choice in order to run, as a green light sort of thing, and now we don't have that. I don't know.
You're talking about the floor crosser? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Chris D'Entremont.
One of the things, it hasn't really been discussed. It has popped up on this show, I will say. But yeah, Chris D'Entremont was a member of the pro-life caucus within the Conservative caucus, right? So, I mean, this is a guy that's I don't know if it's that's to say that if you're a pro-lifer that you can't vote Liberal or support the Liberal Party. I think that's a little strange to say, but it just seems to be a strange fit.
It is a strange fit, and what's strange is that it hasn't really been talked about. That because if you're a member of the pro-life caucus, and then you cross over to the Liberals, who ostensibly, publicly, up until this point, we don't know, has had their a classification that you have to be pro-choice, or you have to at least vote with the government on pro-choice, legislation or policies. And then that's all fallen by the wayside, evidently. Did the Liberals get rid of that? Do you no longer have to be pro-choice to be part of the Liberal Party?
Well, so is it you say Mark Carney, the Liberal Prime Minister, which technically, of course, is true. He's the leader of the Liberal Party, and he is a Liberal Prime Minister. But, is Mark Carney truly a Liberal?
No, I don't think so.
Right? Is Mark Carney more of a progressive conservative? I mean, Yves-François Blanchet saying on Budget Day, I'm pretty sure it's the exact quote. If not, I'll qualify it as my paraphrase. This is a budget that Stephen Harper would have signed off on, right? And I presented it as I think that's incredible for Mark Carney. I think that Blanchet did him a real favor in saying that.
I think so too. I think that is exactly how the Prime Minister and the folks around him would like him to be perceived, that he is somebody who would command the respect of a Prime Minister like Stephen Harper, but is, a Liberal Prime Minister. He's a purple guy who's going to bring in both blue and red votes. And I think ostensibly that makes sense on its own. But eventually, if you're running as a capital L Liberal, the folks, the grassroots folks that really put in the work, you're going to get a bunch of pissed off people. And for me, it's just interesting to watch how long they're going to be able to do this. Because, I mean, and I think folks that are Liberals that are older than me will rightfully point out that before, the Trudeau years, there was a lot of red Tory, blue Liberal kind of switching going about, and it was much more normal. And I think that's fair and fine to point out, and that's, correct. But for a whole host of folks, the only Liberal Party that they've known is an incredibly progressive one. And so all of those people that were pulled into the party are now kind of questioning, does the party, still really reflect me? And it's not really going to matter until the polls kind of even out. But when that does, I think there's going to be a wave of people that are going to be quite disappointed.
Jillian in our live chat, powered by Park Power, your friendly local utilities provider, says, excellent point about the pro-choice thing. She says it's crazy that you have to say I'm pro letting the actual woman and her doctor decide. Greg says Carney is king of the corporatist isn't a word, but the corporate bankers party, maybe we'll say. Others says, Meta Modern's wondering, isn't the federal Liberal Party like a center-right party anyway? I guess it depends on who you ask. Someone's assessment of what's right-wing or moderate or centrist or progressive is, it's a sliding scale depending on who's evaluating.
Yeah, look, I think you could argue that Paul Martin's Liberal Party is probably more akin to Mark Carney's Liberal Party, right? A little bit more right of center. But I don't know. I never saw it growing up as a right of center party. I always thought of it as a center left party, and that's why I, joined it.
So David Eby, BC's premier, strenuously opposes the idea of a new pipeline. There are some roadblocks, including the tanker ban, which people are assuming will be lifted, and the emissions cap, which would factor into this as well. Your good friend Rosie Barton had a chance to ask former premier Jason Kenney about this over the weekend, and he opens hot. Which I think is amazing. I'll get you to comment on this, but first, here's Jason Kenney in conversation with CBC's Rosemary Barton.
David Eby, frankly, I'm surprised he's a lawyer. He was the Attorney General who got absolutely humiliated when he tried to stop the Trans Mountain expansion. He had a judicial he passed a law to say BC could regulate an interprovincial pipeline. The BC Appeal Court unanimously said, no, you can't. No. This is a federal, exclusive federal jurisdiction, upheld unanimously by the Supreme Court of Canada. So I would say to Mr. Eby, do you believe in the Constitution and the rule of law or not? And are you on Team Canada or not? Because all of this this whinging that he's doing is has already it's out of bounds. It's unconstitutional. BC cannot stop interprovincial infrastructure like this.
They can't stop it, but they can certainly raise their concerns around it, and that is what he's doing. And he hasn't been consulted. So.
Well, listen. Why doesn't he consult British Columbians? Every poll I've seen in the last year indicates a significant majority of British Columbians support this. And by the way, on First Nations, I don't buy the notion that there's a widespread opposition. When that was actually tested on the Trans Mountain expansion, the Supreme Court upheld a trial court finding that 111 of 119 Indigenous communities that had some putative interest were either supportive or neutral, and ultimately got built, as you saw, with very limited actual resistance. Same with Coastal GasLink. We heard a lot of noise about a couple of allegedly hereditary chiefs of the Wet'suwet'en. It got built with the support of every elected council there. And so what we have found is, as long as there's equity participation available to Indigenous communities, I have seen overwhelming support amongst Western Canadian First Nations for projects like this. Okay.
Look, he doesn't mince words. I think that's good of the former premier for not mincing words. And he's not incorrect, right? Like, EB does not have a legal claim to stop it, or British Columbia, rather, I should say, does not have a legal claim. It is in the national, federal sort of jurisdiction and interest. So it is the federal government's prerogative, essentially. But I would say the flip side to that, which is I think what the point that Rosie Barton was trying to make, is that even if you do have, complete legal buy-in, there's still political buy-in that you still sort of need. And I think the question for the government, should this go through, and should you see a bunch of opposition in British Columbia, is it worth burning, that kind of political capital? I think I have no doubt the Carney government has already made that calculation if they're going to go through with this, because they already know if they're going to go through with it or not, right? The people that are in the decision-making room. And they'll figure it out. Like, I think that they've done the pro and con list, and it's more pro than con for them.
I was talking to a buddy who's a wealth manager in town, and he basically, I said to him the implication here, like, a lot of people are suggesting that there's just no interest in this from an investment standpoint, that if government's not going to fund this, there's going to be no interest. And he looks at me like, he's like, are you crazy? He said, I said, there have been no international investors, no private capital. Like, there's been nobody that stepped. He goes, yeah, because there's an emissions cap and a tankers ban, and nothing's been announced. And he's convinced that as of this coming Thursday, 4 days from when we're talking right now, Supriya Dwivedi joining us in the feature interview presented by Mercedes-Benz Edmonton West. He says that someone will jump to it, and he's very confident on that. I think that there's been a lot of people across Canada assuming that Carney's simply, that this is some masterclass, some stroke of genius where he's going to appear to collaborate with Alberta and work with Danielle Smith, knowing full well that the pipeline will never get built. I'm not sure of that. The buddy I was talking to is certainly not sure about that.
That's 3D chess right there.
But whether or not you're convinced that that's even going to happen, lifting or suspending a tanker ban and lifting or suspending an emissions cap after getting rid of the consumer carbon tax, these are not risk-free moves.
No, of course not.
When you're counting seats, when you're strategizing around moving from a minority to a majority government or winning the next election, these are things that must be considered.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they haven't considered those. I think they have made those considerations and think it's worth it for them to go ahead anyway, right? And
does it help them that the NDP is toothless right now?
Oh, 100,000%. Of course it does. If the NDP actually was, was a force of progressive politics federally in this country, Prime Minister Carney would have a lot to worry about. And I'd wonder, with the floor crossing and the poaching, if there wouldn't be some, crossing from the Liberal to NDP side. If there was a charismatic leader that was had some political momentum and had some real grassroots support, for sure.
Shout out to Super Chat Ken kicking in on the chat today. Says happy anniversary, all 5th anniversary today. Says it's been a fun ride watching from the back seat. Congratulations. Super Chat Ken's been incredible from the top. And what is this? Look at this. A Nolette. I know exactly who this is. Incredible. $50 into the Super Chat. Happy 5th anniversary, Real Talk. He says, restock that beer fridge and all the best in year 6. Says, welcome to Edmonton, Supriya.
Thanks, Albert.
You know exactly. I was like, I don't know if he
do.
wants to be identified,
Thank
but
you.
he's an incredible public servant, and his support means a lot. He's a hell of a hockey coach, too. Shout out to you, buddy. He just knows I'm going to use that 50 to buy him lunch. He knows. Want to move to Mark Carney's comments on Donald Trump, because this is kind of striking over the weekend, but a part of this clip is en français.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it would be okay if maybe you sort of translated on the fly for us.
Let's do it.
And I would say, I was about to say for the Westerners in our audience, not to take away from the fact that there are many proud Francophone communities in Western Canada, but to have a fluent French speaker in the house here we go. So Mark Carney asked about the last time he's talked to Donald Trump, or the status of those conversations, and basically says, who cares? I mean, here it is in his own words.
Who cares? I mean, it's a detail. It's a detail. I spoke to him. I'll speak to him again when it matters. I mean, the sort of, comme j'ai dit,
like I said,
nous sommes très occupés.
We're very busy.
Nous sommes très, très occupés.
Very, very busy.
Avec
with
l'avenir du Canada.
With the future of
Nous
Canada.
sommes maîtres chez nous. Et avec les nouveaux partenariats.
And with new partners.
Il y aura des conversations, oui, avec
and there will be conversations between me and the president.
Probablement dans les prochaines 2 semaines.
Within the next 2 weeks. But
on attend.
We're waiting.
I'm always happy to. Sorry, I slipped into French because I anticipated the en français thing. I look forward to speaking to the president soon, but I don't have a burning issue to speak with the president about right now. When America wants to come back and have the discussions on the trade side, we will have those discussions. I'm going to answer a potential question here, and then I'll pass back, which is, for example, with respect to Ukraine and the 28-point plan. We are a core member of the Coalition of the Willing. You would have seen a demonstration of that yesterday with the meeting of European leaders, a core group of European leaders, the Prime Minister of Japan, ourselves, and which formed a common position. And that common position is communicated. Our national security advisors are meeting today in Geneva, including Canada's, and the common position communicated to do the additional work that's required on the peace plan there. Each of us do not need to call President Trump and communicate that position. We need to forge that position. That position's been communicated. The follow-up is being done by our national security advisors. I will be speaking with President Zelensky later today just to close the loop on some aspects of that. Okay.
Next question.
So Les in our live chat says, I love how Carney just brushes off the question about Trump. We're busy.
Yeah.
We're very busy.
I mean, look, I think the back half of his answer is fine. I think the dismissive "who cares" is a terrible answer for a prime minister to respond to a question from a reporter. I would also note it was a female reporter who asked the question. He seems to, again, I don't want to make any assumptions here, but he seems to be more dismissive with female reporters who ask the questions. This is like a pattern that has sort of emerged now with him. I don't want to imbue any motives. I obviously can't get in his head, but I think he was clearly annoyed by the question. You saw it with the hand wave. You saw it like, who cares? It's a detail. It's a detail. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, it's a pretty friggin' important detail if you're talking to the president of the United States or not, after he pulled all trade, all talks of trades and tariffs. So to me, if I were the opposition, whether it's the Conservatives or the NDP, I would already be clipping that "who cares" and be running ads based on that, saying he doesn't care about you, he doesn't care about Canada, whatever. But to your point about the NDP being toothless, I mean, that's it. And then I don't know if the Conservatives have it in them to properly execute something like this, although let's see.
It's kind of it. We're also seeing something from the Prime Minister. We've seen it a few times, I think, already. I mean, we talked to you about this.
Yeah.
It might have been a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Remember when Carney was asked at the what's it called, Canada Club in Toronto, the Canadian Club, what's it called?
Yeah.
And basically is interviewed and she asked about pipelines, and basically he's like, yeah,
it's boring. Whatever. It's boring. What?
It's boring. It's gonna get done.
Yeah.
We're talking. Yeah, Danielle on line 1. Who in the room? What? Yeah. And I'm kind of like, part of me loves it.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks a candid politician. Johnny and I talk about this all the time on how sports, like athletes, for the most part, are horrible interviews.
Yeah.
But the athletes that bring personality and infuse something and bring something, oftentimes are ripped for it and criticized. It feels like everybody kind of wants to keep them down, wants to keep them in their lane. But when you get a candid perspective, it's refreshing. So I appreciate that to a certain degree. But I would also recognize that when you're the Prime Minister of a G7 nation, this comment, by the way, the G20 summit in Johannesburg, it's like you're speaking on just a few words, and Donald Trump knows this better than anybody. Just a few words can move markets.
Yeah.
Just a few words can stop or open the free flow on billions of dollars of capital, or could maybe have an impact on whether 500 jobs are kept or slashed. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a much bigger deal than if an opposition leader or an MP or a mayor is going to throw something out there. I think you're the Prime Minister. You're speaking on behalf of the negotiation there, I think. But so I'm of mixed thoughts on it, because part of me kind of likes the fact that it's a bit of a flex.
It is a flex for sure. But I mean, I don't even care about we're busy, we're doing all this other stuff. It's really who cares? Because it's like, if you're a worker in the auto sector, you work steel and aluminum, of course you care. If you're hit, you're a regular consumer and you notice that things are just more expensive than they were, a year ago or whatever, of course you care. And I mean, arguably, the whole reason why the Liberals won the last election in the way that they did was because of Canadians' confidence in Mark Carney to be able to deliver a trade deal, which remember at first was supposed to be without any tariff imposition with the U.S. And again, I'm not putting that on the Prime Minister or the government, because clearly Donald Trump is irrational. It's not exactly like we're dealing with somebody that is entering these negotiations into good faith. So I can certainly understand the frustration on the part of the Prime Minister and the team around him. But I don't know, man. Who cares? Oof.
Yeah. Kenzie says the U.S. is, I've not fact-checked this, but she says the Americans are 77% of our exports. Sounds like it tracks. Says he's making deals with countries that are less than 4%. I don't know. Maybe. Also, if you're dealing with the EU, it's much more than a collective 4%. Ms. Katie says Supriya doesn't like Carney. Is that true? Ms. B says Carney isn't as charismatic as Trudeau. I suppose he could have responded by biting into an apple on stage. That's from Ms. B.
Imagine he just carries one in his pocket.
Just has one?
No, it's not about liking somebody or not liking somebody. I personally, I think it's a bad look for politicians to be dismissive of any reporter. And then once you start to put them together of well, who is he actually being dismissive to? And you notice a pattern of it being female journalists, to me, that's problematic. Add that to the fact in his inner circle, right, of senior staff, how many women are there? I've been calling it a broffice.
A broffice?
A broffice or a PM bro for a reason.
It's French.
PM bro is amazing.
You gotta have a mix there. And again, for folks that are maybe more right of center, they will say, well, that's virtue signaling bullshit to have a diverse team and to ensure that there are women around your inner circle.
Well, to quote your former boss, 2015 balanced cabinet, gender balanced cabinet, when asked why are we doing it, he says because it's 2015.
Sure. Even without all of that, though, and you're not factoring any of that in, I think it's just, if you want good outcomes, you want a diverse group of people, and I don't just mean like skin color or whatever. I mean like age, educational background, gender. You want different regions of the country, exactly, around your table to be able to help you make the best decision possible, because the country is incredibly diverse. And so if your only folks that you're listening to are older finance guys like you're not getting the best cross section of advice there.
At the G20, the Prime Minister, I'll reference reporting here, nationalnewswatch.com, says Canada no longer has feminist foreign policy, but he still wants to uphold the values on the world stage that include LGBTQ2S+ rights and combating violence against women. Said the Prime Minister just hours before we're talking right now, quote, "Yes, we have that aspect to our foreign policy, but I wouldn't describe our foreign policy as feminist foreign policy," described as a shift in rhetoric from the government of Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, it is a shift. And like yesterday, I got a number of texts from folks that were both current and former MPs, staffers, and the like, that are not happy with the shift because they feel as though they were a little bit hoodwinked. And again, you can criticize the notion of like, well, what did feminist foreign policy really even mean? And if you're going to uphold the same sort of, policy goals overall, then what does it matter what you call it? I think that's a fair kind of point to make. But I think it does matter what you call it when you are seen on the world stage as a country that is, vehemently for the equality of women and girls in foreign policy and in foreign aid. And I think, that is where the question really now becomes, is that we know that they're making a bunch of cuts to foreign aid. If you're no longer going for a quote unquote feminist foreign policy, what does that mean to the kinds of international aid and the kinds of projects that we want to embark as a country?
Live chat powered by Park Power. Anubius says, I think that's just Carney on the who cares. I think that's just Carney trying to keep the elbows up persona more than anything. Cassandra says, for fuck's sake, says he was being dismissive to the question, not the reporter. It's ridiculous, says Cassandra, to see it otherwise. Let me read a couple of others. M. Aitken says everybody should be dismissive of Donald Trump. I don't know about that, but I get it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people here, kind of the common thread. People are saying he was dismissing the question, not the journalist. He was dismissing the question, not the reporter. This one from Alberta Girl. I'm going to get in shit for reading this.
No, do it.
Says, are the female reporters asking stupid questions? Yes! I don't know. I don't know if asking for an update on your conversation with the American president is a stupid question, but I'll take the point.
Yeah, I don't think it's a stupid question either. And we were just talking about Rosie Barton. We played a clip with her and the former premier, Jason Kenney. Do you remember? Folks will remember during the campaign when she asked about, the potential for conflicts of interest from his perspective, and I think it was an update on what the ethics screen or what the ethics commissioner was going to say, and he basically, told Rosie Barton to look inside herself and that she was coming from a place of great negativity. And again, if there was a common thread where he speaks like this to any and all reporters equally, sure, fine. But from my perspective, there's a trend emerging.
Yeah. Man, where was there such a good, here it is, from Joe. Good to see you in the live chat, Joe. He says, people complained that Justin Trudeau wasn't a good businessman, and now we have a world-class businessman in charge, says Joe, and they still bitching. I'm just reading it in Joe's vernacular. I love it, Joe. Interesting comment here as well from, I wanted to get this one from Ken. Man, the live chat's humming right now. It's hard to keep up with it, but people are just, this one from Super Chat Ken says, you can criticize Mark Carney for all kinds of reasons, but if he hadn't stepped up to run, the Liberals would be in the ditch.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's 100% true.
But what would the differences in policy be if there was a conservative minority government right now?
What would conservative policy be?
Yeah, how would it be? Because I think the reason also why Liberals rallied around Carney the way that they did. Obviously his resume, obviously his credentials. I think the point about world-class businessman is correct.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, he's very impressive. But I mean, part of it was also, so that Liberals were scared of a conservative government. They were scared what a conservative, particularly a majority conservative government under Pierre Poilievre would mean. Because, for liberals, it would mean like, oh, they're going to make cuts to foreign aid on feminist foreign policy. They're going to allow anti-choicers into the party. They're going to, we're going to have, so like all of these things, I don't know, like eventually we'll get a better sense of what a Carney government really means in terms of like moving projects along, to your point, and other big nation building things. But I'm very curious as to, in an alternate multiverse somewhere, on a timeline that Pierre Poilievre does form government, how is that? Is there not a pipeline to Alberta? Of course there is, right? Like there would be. Would there be cuts to foreign aid a la Trump on? Yeah, of course there would be. Would we have a trade deal? Maybe, maybe not. Like I don't know. So it's a fun game to play.
Fun game to play for sure. Keep the comments coming in the chat. Cliff says doesn't matter if he's dismissive of the question or the reporter. The fact he has to answer to it means he's losing the PR battle. Brent is watching us live on Facebook right now in our live stream presented by California Closets. Brent says this is the problem with Canada. We spend too much time worrying about how we look DEI-wise instead of business-wise. Says we'll be broke, but the progressives worldwide will love us.
I mean, why does it have to be DEI-wise? Like, does that mean that only white guys in suits are qualified for this meritocracy? Because that's a pretty big leap there.
Tony says, what would a conservative government mean for Canada? Look at the shitstorm we have in Alberta right now. That's what it would mean to the country. Shitstorm is in the eye of the beholder.
Yes. That's very poetic, Ryan.
Right?
A shitstorm is indeed in the eye of the beholder. Yes.
And while you could make a compelling argument that it's a total shitstorm in Alberta right now, by the way, I mean, like, we're almost now, we haven't even referenced, 16,000 nurses agreed to a deal literally, if the reporting is accurate, literally at the last minute, set to strike. At 8:30 a.m. Sunday, the deal struck, or they were notified a deal was struck at 8:29. As the story goes, people were at strike locations with signs ready to go, and they were called off. Those nurses, and I always hesitate to just proclaim the numbers of the contract because this is what's being reported, and not everybody qualifies for this, but some nurses will see 12% over 4 years, plus retroactive back pay, so a 24% increase for some nurses, which, they're saying, and keep in mind, I mean, if you want to shit on the deal, the government agreed to the deal too, right? But they're saying that it kind of mirrors what they're seeing in other jurisdictions. It's mirroring what other public sector, unions got, including RNs. It was kind of interesting, right? The registered nurses had a deal. The LPNs didn't have a deal. So they're going for that. Some healthcare aides in on this one. But so they get the deal done there. A lot of people were wondering what's going to happen here. Notwithstanding Clause Bill 2 orders the teachers back. Notwithstanding Clause on Bill 9, the so-called trans laws. That always feels very dismissive to call it that, the trans laws.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It'll help people understand what we're talking about. And then this. But if you support what the government's doing, and if you support the action, if the government's doing what it said it was going to do or doing what you want it to do, and then a pipeline gets built or an agreement's announced, that's not a shitstorm.
No,
right?
No, it's
but
not.
But if you have a trans child, or if you are trans, or if you're empathetic in the direction that really what you're seeing turns you off, if things like school library book bans.
Well, also, if you're a libertarian and you want the government the fuck out of your business or not in the middle of a medical decision, then, it doesn't always have to be a left-right thing.
Then it is a shitstorm.
Well, yeah, exactly. And, I don't, in fairness to, I think, Danielle Smith and her government, I don't know if what she's doing is radically different than what she ran on, right? So folks kind of, to a degree, would have expected, and I'm using shitstorm in quotes since it is in the eye of the beholder, but they would have expected what was to come.
Yeah. I mean, she did, she said with Bill 9, the trans law, she said she was going to do all that stuff, but she didn't say she was going to invoke the notwithstanding clause.
That's true.
And I do think that that's a big difference, right? As recently as June, we're talking to you all, people will listen to this months later, but we're talking to you in November. So 6 months ago, 5 months ago, she said that she believes the government has a strong case and she believes the court should decide. And then 5 months later, a week and a half out from the UCP AGM.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
Well, I don't either.
Yeah.
And so there you go. And then that also gives you some insights into perhaps who the premier, what she's sweating or who's on her radar or what she thinks she may have to lose in the short term. And so while her polling has slipped recently, as most people know, when you go into an AGM, You need these are members. These
Yeah.
are like your hardest core supporters, and you need to make sure that you have a big score.
It's not your
right?
average voter. The folks that are going
No,
to, and it's
not
not
even
just,
close.
and it's not just the UCP. Every single party, right?
course.
Every single party. When you have these giant meetings and it's just members, they're your most faithful. They're your most partisan, and they're often the voices that push the party in a certain direction. If there's enough numbers of them at the AGM, and I would expect. No different for the UCP.
Now, talking Trump, Johnny's been working on this Opus project that we're going to bring to you in just a second. Trump basically losing the room. We'll let the intrepid technical director of this show tee this up in just a second. Before we do, as we celebrate our 5-year anniversary today with Supriya Dwivedi in studio, we also want to recognize the team at Play Alberta. It was wonderful to see them all in person at our 5th birthday bash and just chat about the future of Alberta Wins. This is the feature that Play Alberta presents every Thursday here on the show. If you have a story of an Albertan, could be an individual, it could be a corporation, could be an athlete. I mean, it could be a lemonade stand that goes out there and raises $1,000 for a hospital. Stories of Alberta Wins featured every Thursday here on the show. Send us your story to talk@RyanJesperson.com. Albertans are winning every single day at Play Alberta on the app and at playalberta.ca. Every hour, jackpots worth millions, revenue that stays in the province. There's never been a better time to sign up. And right now, Real Talkers can score a $50 casino bonus when you make a minimum $50 deposit with the code Ryan50. That's all one word, Ryan50. Ryan50 for a $50 casino bonus with a minimum $50 deposit on the Play Alberta app or at playalberta.ca. You must be 18 or over to play, and if you do gamble, please do use your game sense. We're so proud to partner with the team at UCAN Youth Services. Again, wonderful to see them in the room. They're doing incredible work helping young people, 12 to 18, that are struggling with, incarceration. Basically, young people that have, in many circumstances, never had a shot. And then young adults, 17 to 25. They were outside of employment, a lot of them experiencing housing insecurity, food insecurity, but they're motivated. And there's talent, there's skill there, there's drive. UCAN is helping bring that out of these young people, developing this incredible initiative, sense of self-worth. We believe strongly in this program, if you can't tell. You can learn more about it at ucan.ca. You can stuff a stocking right now for a young person that's getting ready to enter the job market. The gift of confidence is major. You can stuff a stocking, things like bus passes, warm socks, a coffee card. You don't have to go out and buy it. You don't have to get it together. You can check out ucan.ca and stuff a stocking today. We really encourage you to do it. Here at Real Talk, we're such proud partners of UCAN Youth Services. And as you know, coming up in our next episode, every Tuesday on the show, the Royal Alexandra Hospital Foundation presents Echoes of the Alex. The Royal Alexandra Hospital Foundation is blowing my mind right now, celebrating 125 years. This is Edmonton's inner city hospital. It is so much more than a building, a place where moments of care echo through generations, from the first breath of a newborn to the comfort given in life's hardest moments. Every story within these walls sends out ripples, touching families, shaping communities, and inspiring the care of tomorrow. These are the echoes of the Alex. We want to hear your story to talk@RyanJesperson.com. With your donation today, those echoes will continue, carrying forward hope, healing, and compassion for generations to come. You can show your support today at givetoroyalalex.org. Supriya Dwivedi, our guest in studio, and the technical director of this show, Johnny Infamous. You birthed a
I'm in studio
project.
too.
It's unbelievable
you
to have
never
you
get
here,
credit
John.
for being in studio.
I'm here
he never
every
gets
day.
credit for showing up. He's even here on the weekends.
Can I work remotely?
Helping us get things back together. But you talk to us about the genesis of this project. Like you started working on this a while back when you noticed the president kind of losing the room a little bit.
No, Ryan. This is my love affair with MTG.
Yeah.
She's got me. She's got me in the mud. I told you I got a poster of her on my wall. I'm on the fan club now. I'm writing her love letters. I'm writing Johnny Infamous Green on my notebook at school. I'm deep. And no, but I started thinking about, the 180s, and people always saying flip-flopping. And somebody said this. I forget who said it. I saw it on a reel. They said, it's not flip-flopping if you come to the right assumption or the right answer, or you realize that you made a mistake, right? And one of our guests said this on our show. Who said it last week? Name our guests last week, Ryan.
Oh,
no,
geez.
I'm just kidding. But somebody said the same thing, which was basically like, if you come to the right assumption, or if you refine your opinion, it's not flip-flopping. And I still don't agree with a lot of what MTG says, but it got me thinking about all the people like us, podcasters, influencers, right-wingers, all the people Supriya Dwivedi really likes.
Love them.
Down in the States. And how the last maybe 60 to 90 days, the majority of them, I'm talking about the biggest voices, the men on podcasts who got the young men out to vote for Trump the last 2 elections.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, Andrew Schultz, Supriya's favorite, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro. All these people are flipping on Trump and saying, none of what he's doing is good. I don't agree with any of this. What have we done to the world? And we're all just watching them and saying, we saw this coming, didn't we, Ryan? Did we see this coming a little?
Well, I think this is so. Why we'll roll this,
Yeah.
and then we can talk about it. And I want to see what the live chat has to say about this as well. But this is what Johnny's been working at. These are all. I mean, this is Trump's space. These are Trump's amplifiers.
These are the hits.
These are the hits, and this is all. I mean, people can call this cherry picking. People can call it what they like. These are them in. What's the oldest clip for you? This is all within the last month, right?
They're all within the last
They're all
90
within-
days.
Well, all within the last 90 days. All right. Well, here it is.
Who is Trump protecting? Because he's clearly protecting someone. Is it himself? Is it someone in his family? Where are my fellow weaklings at? Because that's what Trump called us. During a press conference, said that we were stupid for still caring about the Epstein files.
Even the conservatives on the court are saying the president does not actually have emergency authority to simply impose tariffs on the basis of trade deficits, which is essentially what he's been doing. This is illegal. He does not actually have the constitutional authority to do this.
We thought Trump was going to come in and a lot of things are going to be resolved.
Yeah.
We're going to drain the swamp. We're going to figure everything out. And when you have this one hardcore line in the sand that everybody had been talking about forever, and then they're trying to gaslight you on that.
Everything he campaigned on, I believe he wanted to do. And now he's doing the exact opposite thing. There'll be people that they'll DM me and be like, you see what your boy's doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for.
Yeah.
I want him to stop the wars. He's funding them. I want him to shrink spending, reduce the budget. He's increasing it. It's like everything that he said he's going to do.
Also, all faith in Trump. All faith. The guy's clearly the child on Epstein Island or something. There's just it's embarrassing.
Wow.
It's embarrassing. Trump said word for word, if you want the Epstein files still, I don't want your support. And that he doesn't understand that that's the whole reason that we voted for Trump in 2016. That's the whole reason we supported him and we were part of it, because he wanted to drain the swamp. He was the outsider because he campaigned on no new wars, went back on most of what he said. Nothing's really changed so far. You didn't stand up for any of his original supporters, anybody who was there.
So now by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. You cannot see it any other way because I have integrity.
People under 40 are going, hey man, I can't own a house. There's zero possibility that people elected Donald Trump so that their tax dollars could go to luxury real estate development in Gaza. And now if you criticize that, they'll just shut you down. So shut the up, get out of here. Everybody thinking that Jimmy Kimmel being removed and indefinitely suspended from ABC means that you are winning. You're a fool.
You bury the Epstein files as if that's not bad enough. You're going to lie to our faces, tell us it's a Democrat hoax. If you're not going to go with the lie, you're not a real supporter. You're not a real one. You're lying. You know you're lying. You're lying to our face. We know you're lying. You don't even care. I have supported Republicans, and they shit on our face. And now he says, if you're not on board with the Epstein cover-up, I don't want your support. You're a weakling. Fuck you. Fuck you. You suck. You are not funny. You are not as smart as you think you are. This just goes to show this entire thing has been a scam. When we look back on the history of populism in America, we are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history. And the liberals were right. The MAGA supporters were had. They were.
The biggest scam in American history.
Sure. I would say, I think, with Johnny, you were saying the flip-flop thing. It's okay if you come to the right side, then it's not really flip-flopping.
Well, not the right side, but if you kind of refine.
Yeah. So
or change your mind, or know better, do better, or that kind of premise, right?
Sure.
So I tend to agree with that. I think if you've changed your mind, I think we should welcome that sort of, there's newfound information, and I used to think X, and now I think Y based on the newfound information.
If anything, if you're not willing to do that, it's a brutal character
exactly. Just get out of here. And on the Epstein stuff, I think it's clear that there was a reversal, but did Trump really not do what he said he was going to do? Like, if you read Project 2025 or whatever it is, they laid it all out what they were going to do.
He was like arm's length at Project 2025.
Yeah, he was.
Remember at the beginning,
you're right.
he kind of pulled a Carney. He's like, "What is that? Who cares?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I've never heard of that. I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't read it. I've heard about it. I haven't read it."
Yeah.
That was kind of his position on it.
Yeah.
In the live chat, Dubious says the only thing funnier than right-wing nut jobs jumping ship on Trump is the right-wing nut jobs who are too stubborn to admit they were bamboozled, who will go down with the ship. Right? Bunny Slippers says nobody wants to be associated with a pedophile. Apparently that's the line that needed to be drawn. Kenzie says at least the right is willing to criticize who they elected. Tony says, fuck these guys. They knew what they were getting when they endorsed him. Now they're trying to distance themselves.
I think part of that is likely true.
Justin says these people are the definition of useful idiots, or they were part of the grift and now they're mad. Justin says this makes me so mad.
I think a lot of them wanted one thing. Andrew Schultz in the longer clip went on to say, well, he has done things like, deport illegals, build a huge ballroom on the White House lawn, but they picked and chose what they wanted. A lot of people just wanted the Epstein files, and so I'm going to vote for Trump. But they turned a blind eye to everything else he said, and now we're in the muck, and there's no files, and
Scarlett says, these guys, she says, I think that this is the legal representation, distance yourself now because this is all going to get really bad.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that they were all advised, like you got to distance yourself now and it's going to be trouble down the road.
Year one of term 2.
Yeah.
Year one.
Scarlett, by the way, who does amazing work for a really prominent nonprofit in the city of Edmonton, working in the inner city with the unhoused.
She was here.
No, I know. I'm teeing it up for the audience.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
She checks in. Well, because I know, but I just want to be clear. Some people in the audience are like, "Why the fuck why am I not invited to this party?" So I'm just like being clear. But Scarlett said she wanted to make sure that you had fun this weekend. She was very concerned. She was calling me to the carpet at the party.
Yeah.
Technically hardwood. But she was concerned that I was going to let you just wilt away in a hotel tower.
She basically thought I was just going to wander around,
She was like, Ryan, you have to show her Edmonton. You have to show it. And I said, I promise I will.
She can see it from her hotel window.
So how's Edmonton? You're like, well, I had a view through 270 degrees through the glass.
That view was amazing. No,
10
on 10, man. Like, you've showed me a great time.
We ensured that you had some of the best of what Alberta had to offer, at least on the culinary front.
Oh, I haven't had this much steak in the last 6 months.
Wagyu. Right?
Perfect.
Shout out Lakeside Farmstead for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Scarlett. She looked me in the eyes and she said, you better do her right. Like, you better do this whole thing right.
You did, buddy. Don't worry.
And so we promised.
You gave her a gout. Mix in a vegetable when you get home, okay, Supriya?
You are going to gout. What's the soonest it sets in? Probably mid-flight home.
Ugh, probably. My boots are just going to get tighter. I'm not going to be able to. Yeah.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's leaving Congress in January. She announces her resignation. The president said that he didn't use the word blindsided, but what he did say, Trump said she didn't notify him ahead of her decision, and then he posted Marjorie went bad. A lot of people speculating about what might be next for her.
Well, let's ask her upcoming boyfriend, Johnny. Johnny, what is next for your girl?
That's the first female president of the United States you're talking about right now.
Oh, my God.
2028.
God help us all.
He's running again in 2028.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Well, I mean, it's a very real possibility.
Oh, I think he's definitely running again. The White House is selling Trump 2028 merch.
Yes.
He's saying the thing. He's not hiding it.
We've seen it, yeah.
Well, I thought you were joking until you showed a photo of it, and they actually are.
It's not in studio.
And there's a lot of but and there's talk as well about. I mean, people are talking about it this weekend. He's not served concurrent terms.
No.
And there's a belief that the argument could be made to the Supreme Court, which is
a Trump, a Republican heavy Supreme Court, right?
Let's say it's a Republican curated Supreme Court.
A Trump curated Supreme Court.
It's a Trump curated Supreme Court.
Yeah.
That this is something that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
I really do think that. And I think that for the folks that will end up being surprised and, devastated by it, don't be surprised. That's the worst thing. Like, he's saying the thing. Believe it when they say the thing.
Yeah. Mega Shadow's wondering, when is Danielle Smith going to build a ballroom at the federal building in Edmonton? Says you heard it on Real Talk first. You and I did over dinner discuss the Sky Palace and the legacy of the Sky Palace.
Yeah.
And can I, man, I'll share.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, well, why shouldn't we have, I mean, obviously it was not referred to as the Sky, the critics started calling it the Sky Palace, but the idea was that there should be a premier's residence on the grounds of the legislature. And obviously it went sideways, I think, when then Premier Alison Redford was reportedly having some pretty assertive influence on. Was that
so diplomatic?
Wasn't that very diplomatic?
Yeah,
it was really good.
Yeah.
But some real influence on how it should be designed and what it should entail. And she was basically, the implication was that she was using the public purse to create her own personal residence with her own personal touches on it. But I think there could be an argument for a premier's residence on the legislature. And I referenced 24 Sussex Drive in the White House, and you immediately are like, well, those are federal.
Yeah.
And there's no other provincial premier's reference. And then I thought, well, maybe Alberta could be the first, and why not?
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's a reason why there couldn't be.
Well,
I don't think the idea of a premier's residence on the grounds of a legislature is a preposterous idea.
No, I don't think so either. But
Ballroom's a different ballgame.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think to your point of it being, well, why can't we just be the first and then maybe other provinces will follow suit? All fine in the abstract. However, in actual practice, as people are having affordability challenges and folks are like, can I pay rent or do I do groceries? Building a residence from the ground up is not a good look for any government.
I think what I'm trying to do probably is just sway public opinion on this before I run to be the next premier of Alberta.
There we go.
And what I'm trying to do,
set the scene, Ryan.
Get the residence built and then seek the office.
I'm trying to have a big shaker, just like the Real Talk holiday party. I think back to the ballroom, though, the big exclamation point on it is that the construction is not going to be done till late 2028. So what does that tell you?
That he's running in 2028.
100%. You don't build yourself a playground to give to the next guy or gal.
Yeah, and also just to state the obvious, just blowing the walls out of the White House, like it's like making a major architectural alteration to an iconic property is a really gutsy move.
It's his house now.
It's his house now.
This is my house.
Yeah.
Just wait till Prince William is king and wait till you see what they're going to do at Buckingham Palace. You imagine just blow the walls off that for a pickleball court, whatever else. All right. Want to thank you for being here, traveling all the way.
Thank you. This has been amazing. And we gotta get me in studio.
I agree.
Regularly.
Fly out every week.
Yeah.
Regularly.
Every Sunday.
See, this
Supriya.
is another thing that's really
back on
unfortunate
Tuesdays.
is when the government of Alberta sold the province's private planes.
Yeah.
Truly unfortunate.
Oh, that's fair too.
We'll know that when Real Talk makes it, we've got our own PJ that we can just run back and forth between Toronto and Edmonton.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get Supriya her own Sky Palace here. That she
Wouldn't
just
it be
comes
great?
in and out
Sky
of.
Palace, private jet.
Amazing. Sign me
And
up.
friends, I'll let you know that the sponsorship for that is still available. It's a crippling $30,000 a month, but the sponsorship is still available. At this moment, we'll let you know that the team at Kuby Renewable Energy, solar by Kuby in particular at kuby.ca, that's kuby.ca. They've been with us through the very beginning, incredible supporters of this show. And as you know, friends, the first episode of every week, they give us a chance to, for the most part, step outside the news cycle to remind ourselves that there are things happening around us to restore our faith in humanity. Wonderful praise reports, you might call them. This is the tradition, the weekly tradition we call Positive Reflections, proudly presented by the team at Solar by Kuby. And today, Supriya, Johnny, Carly, this audience, our sponsors, our guests, this is an opportunity for me to free flow and just let you know on Real Talk's 5th anniversary, 5 years, closing in on 1,100 episodes, how much we appreciate you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and everybody else that's had our back throughout this. We were optimistic. We were bullish when we launched 5 years ago. It was November 23rd of 2020. We didn't know if the tech was going to work. We were hoping the audience would show up. We were pretty confident that if the audience showed up, they would support our sponsors. The sponsors would see value aside from investing in curious, reputable, ethical, independent media. And all of you have delivered on all fronts. We don't take it for granted for a single second. And so on this, the 5th anniversary of the show, we look ahead to the next 5, the next 10. You heard me go on the record, on the microphone, with those gathered around us this weekend, and toast to the next 25.
Yeah.
So I say, let's do it. But we can't do it without you guys. This audience, we so appreciate you. Our sponsors, this would be impossible without you. And today, it's an attitude of gratitude as we mark 5 years and officially kick off episode 1 of season 6. I want to thank everybody who shows up here every single day. Some of you who just pop in for 5 minutes, especially those of you who like and subscribe what we're doing on YouTube, who subscribe to our podcast, and who tell your friends about it. Real Talk is growing. That's the message. It's an upward trajectory, and our intention and our commitment is that that will continue to happen. But these mile markers are important. They fill our buckets. They remind us that what we're doing is important. And quite frankly, while we take no pleasure in seeing much of mainstream and traditional media die on the vine, it reiterates to us the importance of this, a sustainable, independent platform that continues to keep people talking. So today, on our 5th anniversary, we thank you, and we commit to continuing this moving forward. Positive Reflections is proudly presented by Kuby Renewable Energy. You can get a free solar quote today at kuby.ca. We're signing off to get this weapon to the airport so she can make her way back to Ontario, and she'll be back with us next Monday remotely. We love you. Thank you for doing this.
I love you more. I'm so proud of you and everything you've done. It just fills my heart. My heart has been incredibly full this entire weekend. Congrats,
Music
buddy.
to my ears. Thank you, buddy. And thank you, Real Talkers. Shout out to Johnny Infamous, who will take us to the credits.
Hey!
And we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Real Talk is hosted by Ryan Jesperson, executive producer Josh Dunford, technical producer John Hicks, general manager Katie Cook-Chivers, account coordinator Lauren Sterlego, human resources Lena Shepard, website design Mike Johnston, voiceover by me, Carrie Skelton.